Greetings, one and all. This is the Fenneking here, and this is Pokemon Showdown laddering. The second episode of us laddering with this team in OU. We've got. I'm gonna go through. This is actually post commentary. That's what I've been doing for these. But here's our team. We have Homie Appliance, the Rotom Wash, kind of our specially defensive pivot. Chinese Monstrosity, the Celebi, is our physical wall and rock setter. And Cleric as well, kind of with Heal Bell. Bruce Chan is our Hitmontop, and he's got Rapid Spin support as well as Mach Punch and Bullet Punch priority. UFO is our Steel Trapper, Randall, the Altaria, Mega, our Physical Sweeper, and our Choice Scarfer, and one of two leads is Victini, May 7th, 1945. And this battle, we're just going to lead off right with May 7th, 1945 against their Jolteon. I didn't want to start with Rotom Wash in this one because there's some Pokemon that it wouldn't be great, like that Mega Sceptile. So I decided it'd be less risky if I just go in with Victini. And I just go right in for the V-Create because I don't want to take a hit from the Jolteon, so I don't want to like U-turn out or anything. I just go right for it, and it does one-shot. And I'm fine with him bringing in Seismitoad because there's not really anything he can do unless he carries Sludge Wave, which, I mean, I'm okay with that, and that's his choice if he wants to use Sludge Wave on my Celebi. I just end up getting my rocks up as he switches into Scizor. I parried the Scizor expecting a Pursuit, which would, I believe, one-shot the Celebi if I were to switch out. But at this point, I'm fine with switching. I've done pretty much everything I want to do or can do with Chinese Monstrosity. If he goes for the Pursuit, you know, I'm just going to get killed anyways at some point. So I go into Bruce Chan to get the Intimidate off and threaten a close combat as well as Rapid Spin. And that's what I end up going for as he switches into Starmie. And this is kind of annoying for me because he can go for a Rapid Spin or a hit. I kind of expected him to just go for a hit, but I mean, it doesn't really matter because either way, Bruce Chan can't really do much to the Starmie. I go for a Will-O-Wisp here because I don't want to go for the obvious Volt Switch or Hydro Pump. Seismitoad can counter both. I forget that Hydro Pump actually, that Seismitoad does have Water Absorb. I don't really see Seismitoads. I don't really play the tier. I haven't played a lower tier in a while, so I forget about that. I go for a hard read, assuming that there's not really much he can do to Homie Appliance, and he's probably going to switch, but he doesn't. I get a little bit stubborn here, and I go for another Volt Switch, because I really, really want that initiative. I really, really want the switch, so that I can counter Hitmon, but, obviously that's not going to happen. So I just go right into Chinese Monstrosity. And I can tank that Earth Power no problem, despite me being physical. I just go right out for the Giga Drain. And he brings out Scizor again. Kind of playing a switch party right now. And at this point, I'm just like, alright, whatever. I get a free switch into Hitmontop, basically. And I can get a free Rapid Spin off. I really don't want rocks on my side of the field. I mean, what's he going to do to me? Knock me off? Like, I don't really care. That's fine if you want to knock off. And that did, like, nothing despite him being Life Orb. Go for a close combat. And it doesn't do quite as much as I wanted it to Starmie. I don't know exactly what I was expecting, but I don't know. Starmie's pretty frail, so I expect him to go for like a rapid, well, no, not a Rapid Spin, but I expect him to go for the recover there or switch. So I just go for close combat, and then I decide to switch because he's obviously going to hit. And Homie Appliance isn't really going to be too helpful against his team at this point, so I just kind of sack it off. I go for Pain Split just in case he wants to try and switch out, but I kind of accept my defeat at that point. And I just go in for the free U-turn with Victini. Either Starmie will die or I get switch initiative, whichever one he decides. but he ends up living the U-turn, which I was very surprised about. I guess I'm max speed Jolly with Choice Scarf rather than Adamant. And he does get the burn with the Scaldon UFO, which is kind of unfortunate. And this is kind of an awkward battle. Neither one of us is really able to secure control over the battle. We're kind of just, grasping at straws, getting little hits here and there, little advantages. At this point, neither of us have our rocks up, but I do go for my rocks as he brings in Scizor again. I don't know. He keeps going for the Scizor, but it's not really working out for him against Celebi. I sack off UFO there. Decide either he kills me or I get a free HP fire. So I just go for it. And I bring Bruce Chan in again. And this time I actually just close combat, because this Scizor is getting on my nerves. And now he's in percentage where Stealth Rocks will kill him, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. At this point, I feel like maybe a Mach Punch could take it out, which was kind of dumb in hindsight. I really shouldn't have thought it would kill, but considering how little the close combat did to it. But, that's alright. I do get some damage on him, and now U-turn will kill. So it's not a huge deal. But I end up just going for Zen Headbutt, expecting a switch and into like a Dragonite or something. And I figure if he switched into Dragonite and I got a Zen Headbutt off, that would be really, 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 really good. I end up just going straight for the Zen Headbutt again as he goes for Dragonites. Oh, sorry, I had to sneeze there. I go for Zen Headbutt again, hoping that it will in fact get a good roll, and it does. I do get the Zen Headbutt kill. So at this point, it's looking very good for me. There's Stealth Rocks. The pressure is on, and Chinese Monstrosity can handle pretty much anything except the Mega Sceptile. And I realize that, and that's kind of when I make my play. I decide he's going to switch now, so I'm going to go into Randall. But he doesn't actually switch. I don't know if that was like the most hard read in the world, or he just, didn't know what he was doing. But he does poison me, which is kind of unfortunate. I know I can tank whatever he throws at me. And the nice thing about being poisoned is I can't be burned from Scald. So, there are advantages. I go for the Roost, get up a little bit. Earth Power does, a decent amount. And at this point, I pretty much have to keep spamming Return. Pretty sure I can just sweep his team at this point. And Mega Altaria is a threat. Like, even if it doesn't seem like it, even if you have rocks up on their side, even if you poison it, you got 3 Pokemon left, like, it's just too good. Like, Mega Altaria is so scary. And I just go for the Return here, taking the game. And that's game 1. We are 1-0 in this set of battles, and I believe 4-1 total with this team. So we go into our second game. This is a much more standard looking team for OU. And I decide to lead off with Rotom this time with Homie Appliance. And he brings in Achilles the Heatran. I think a little bit about what I'm going to do here, because there's a lot of options. There's a lot of things he could do. I go ahead and Hydro Pump, and it does crit, which tells me that this is definitely a Salt Vest defensive Heatran. And instead of taking the Volt Switch, he decides to Protect. And that's kind of a problem for me. I decide Hydro Pump will do decently to anyone, and if he brings in Rotom, I'm not that upset about it. So I end up taking out Heatran right off the bat, which is very, very good. not having to deal with that, especially considering I have Victini. Victini's going to be opened up a little bit more, although Victini is in this battle just a little. They've got a lot of soft, more checks to Victini. It's kind of hit or miss in OU, but in this battle it happens to not be that useful. And this thing starts wanting to set up on me. I decide I'll just take my Stealth Rock, because I think I can take a Flamethrower, which I do, and then I decide to go for the Para on it before I die. And he does get fully paralyzed. And this is when I decide I'm going to just bring in Randall. There's not really... Either I threaten the switch, and he brings in Landorus, which is fine, because then his Clefable no longer has the stat boosts. But I forget that Moonblast does in fact one-shot me. I'm not sure how I forgot that, but I just did. Misplayed there. And so I bring in May 7th, 1945, and just go for the V-Create, which does mass. I assume that thing is like max HP, max defense, and it still just nearly takes it out. Victini's power is just so good. And Hercules, the Lopunny, comes out. I don't want to take a fake out. I expect the fake out, so I go into Bruce Chan. He does see through that ploy a little bit, goes for the return, but Bruce Chan really isn't helpful against anyone else except Hercules, so I decide, you know what, I'll just sack it off, get a Mach Punch. Which, it's pretty good. It does almost half to the Hercules, which is good. I have it in low range. You know, I can outspeed this thing because of my Scarf, and I know that Landorus is there, and because of that I decide to just go for a U-turn. I don't want to get locked in against Landorus yet. So I go for U-turn and get a free switch into Homie Appliance. And there's not really anything Landorus can do to me at this point. But because I'm trying to play it safe, I could be expecting to switch into Lopunny. I do, or into Gengar or something. Like, I kind of want to just cripple something. He goes into his own Rotom, and I go for Will-O-Wisp. And I just decide to go back into Chinese Monstrosity. Because I figure either he's going to, stay in or go for like the Lopunny or something. Gengar comes out, and this is a check to Celebi for sure. I'm just gonna let it fall here, which in hindsight that wasn't exactly the best play. Landorus was still a threat to my team. Like, my logic was that Homie Appliance could still take out Landorus, but as you're about to see, it's a little more complex than that. Landorus is a very, very good Pokemon, especially in this kind of metagame, like in OU specifically. I feel like despite it having amazing stats, solid typing, and good ability, fantastic ability actually, and a good move pool, that's not why it's so dominant entirely in OU. I feel like it counters so many Pokemon that would be in like the most threatening Pokemon without Landorus being a thing. So, that's just kind of how it goes. You have to be prepared for Landorus, or else you're just gonna fail. And it's just kind of going. He's slowly taking a pretty solid lead, and there's not really much I can do here. I decide to go for Flash Cannon, just because I see myself having more of a hard time with Landorus as Victini than with Rotom Wash. And so I kind of make that decision to go for a Flash Cannon over like a Thunderbolt. And I do get 2 crits with the Flash Cannon, no special defense drop. He misses a Hydro Pump. So, yeah, things are definitely going my way. It doesn't really matter. It's at this point, he's pretty much won the game. It's just a matter of time. But I do land 3 crits and a special defense drop. And yeah, the luck is definitely on my side for this matchup. But this guy's team was insanely well built, and he is definitely going to be able to take the game over me. So I'm just kind of going. He brings out Lopunny. And that's going to be able to take UFO out for good. I'm not sure why it took so long choosing there, but I guess, I don't know, maybe he was expecting me to switch. At this point, I just decided to go for Zen Headbutt. And as you can see, I do apologize for the hacks that happened against the Rotom, even though it doesn't really matter. And yeah, there he says it's all good. He knows that he has the game in the bag. Earthquake doesn't kill me, which, I mean, that kind of surprised me. But I guess Victini's defensive stats are kind of beastly compared to, like, your average Choice Scarf fire type. Anyways, I'm able to take a record of 4-2 so far, which I would like it to be better than that. You know, I'm aiming for better. I'm always aiming for better with my teams, but I feel like this team specifically has the potential to be better than a 4-2 record. So we're facing Insane apparently right now, and he's got a decent core going on. He's got Mega Slowbro, he's got Ferrothorn, he's got Heatran, and he's got Gliscor. Kind of any physical Mon's nightmare is that core right there. I go for a Hydro Pump and deal some decent damage with the crit. Then I go for a Volt Switch, expecting the Leech Seed, and it does happen. Now I get my free rocks up. But then I think about it, and I decide that I'm actually just going to go straight into Magnezone because I think he's going to go for a Hazard. He goes for Spikes, which tells me that another Pokemon of his is going to be having the Stealth Rocks. But I do end up taking out the Ferrothorn right there. And, you know, I can't just stay in here against the Heatran. I go into Homie because there's not really anything the Heatran can do against me. Lava Bloom does a decent amount, but, I mean, that's it. Even if he got the burn, it wouldn't really matter. I go for Hydro Pump because it'll hit everything hard on his team except Slowbro, and if he does go into Slowbro, I don't know why he would, but I guess he did, I can threaten a Volt Switch. I go for a Will-O-Wisp there, expecting a switch into Gliscor or Terrakion, and doesn't really pay off. But I decide I'll just go for Hydro Pump again, expecting a switch. This guy just, I guess he wants to sack off his Slowbro because he's not looking like he wants to switch. And I think about it for a little bit, and I decide I'm just going to make a hard switch into Chinese just in case he decides to switch into his Gliscor and I can't get the Volt Switch off. And Chinese Monstrosity actually is a huge threat to his team if the Heatran goes down. And I guess the Alakazam can handle it, but all 3 of his other Pokemon get just wasted by the Celebi. So I kind of want to save it. I don't want to let it go to Heatran right now. Now I get a free Rapid Spin Up, and I really, really needed that. The hazards put a ton of pressure on you. And, I mean, you'd think with a team that was so based on hazards and forcing switches as this guy's team, he would have like a spin blocker, you know, like a Ghost type or something. But, I mean, I guess everyone builds their team differently. This guy didn't, I guess, Either he didn't have the foresight, just didn't care, something. I do sack off UFO there, got some damage on Heatran. That thing's obviously Assault Vest to handle a Choice Spec Stab Thunderbolt that well. He gets another Protect off, as I just go for the same Hydro Pump until he goes into the Slowbro strat. There is Slowbro right there. He did get the Regenerator on his health. And now I decided I'll just go right for Volt Switch. That does take it out. And expecting him to go into like Gliscor or Terrakion or something. He does go for Heatran. And I just go ahead and Thunderwave him to try and cripple it so that I can take it out a little easier. Not have to worry about Protect spamming. And he goes for Earth Power. Not sure exactly why. I feel like Lava Plume was the best option in every scenario except if I had gone into Victini, which I don't know why I would have. But, you know, could have been a misclick, I suppose. He does get Rocks up, and because of that, I decided to go into Bruce Chan, and because I can threaten a close combat. And I can kind of play the mind game with him, right? I can kind of say, okay, you know what? This guy knows I want to go for a Rapid Spin, so you know what, I'll just take it out with close combat. Pokemon Showdown is a lot about baiting. It's a lot about training your opponent. You're like wanting them to predict a certain way, and you just, you know, go the opposite. So it's all about playing the opponent, not just the game. You know, it's amazing to have knowledge about the game, to be able to run calcs in your head, to know like popular sets, what kinds of move sets your opponent is probably going to be running. But what's probably even more important is being able to play them mentally. At this point, Chinese Monstrosity handles their team, so it's pretty much the end here. It's just a matter of time, because unless that's like X-Scissor Terrakion or an offensive Gliscor, it's free. Ice Fang does not do enough with the defensive investment to be able to knock me out. And now I can just spam Giga Drain. He's locked in here pretty much, because if he goes into Terrakion, he has no chance. He goes for a Protect stall there. Doesn't really matter. There's really nothing he can do unless he gets like hacks with Ice Fang, which I guess is a very real possibility. It has a pretty good chance to flinch and or freeze me, or he could get a crit. But luckily for me, it's kind of hacksless at the moment. And he goes into Terrakion, his last Pokemon. And now it's the moment of truth. We see if he does pack the X-Scissor or not. It doesn't really matter if he does. We still got plenty of Pokemon to handle it. But he does just have the Stone Edge. And we can eat that with the Giga Drain and one more Giga Drain for the KO. He doesn't get the crit, but he does land 2 Stone Edges at just 80%. So he doesn't get the hacks he was looking for with either of those Pokemon. And we go into our next match with a 5-2 record. Looking to finish this up with a 6-2. That's going to make me feel a lot better about this. So we can have 3 times the amount of wins that we do losses. And this is kind of a weird team. I mean, it's kind of, he's got stuff like Landorus, Sableye, Metagross, and Talonflame, but he also has a Weavile, which is a little more underused, and an Octillery, which is insanely underused. I believe it's in like PU or NU or something. It's not exactly a very good Pokemon, and He's rocking out with Octazooka, not Scald. That says a little bit about this team. But Flamethrower does a ton of damage, and Burn just takes it out. I do kind of want to keep Chinese Monstrosity around a little bit, but this Metagross, I really, really want to paralyze it. And he knows that, apparently, because he goes straight in for the substitute. And at this point, I'm kind of freaking out, because I've seen many, many Mega Metagross sweeps, especially with the sub up. He's just so powerful. And, I go into Homie just so I can tank the hit, but then he just gets his Zen headbutt off, and it's looking a little scary for us right now. But we do have UFO. I'm just like, okay, if I can just pop this sub, maybe we can get in there with a V-Create or something, threaten him either to switch out or to just kill it. He goes for a Meteor Mash, and that does nothing. And so, what, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to keep Thunderbolting until he's dead. And one Thunderbolt will take it out. UFO is a monster against Steel types. He's kind of average, not even average, he's kind of bad in OU, in every other way. But, if you're looking for a Steel killer, there is no better Steel killer than Magnezone. It's just the truth. And he does go into Lander's Theory in here. Reads the switch and goes for Rock Tomb, lowers my speed, which doesn't really matter considering I'm Celebi and he's faster than me. But he gets some rocks up as I go for a Giga Drain. And I expect him to switch, but he does kill me with U-turn. So, that's alright. We handled his main, physical sweeper. Everything else kind of has some way of handling Celebi, so it's alright that it's down. At this point, I think I really need a strong special attack that I can spam to take out this Sableye. I don't want to waste a physical attacker against it. And UFO doesn't really put in too much work against everything else on his team, so I'm just going to go for a Flash Cannon, and that does exactly what I want it to do. A good chunk of damage, getting him in range of being killed easily, or just by some Stealth Rock switches. And I do just finish it off with Flash Cannon, and I get the burn kill on myself, which is, this makes it kind of a blind pick for us, and I do end up getting the Intimidate on him, because at this point everything he's got is physical. I let him hit with a Brave Bird, so I can get my Rapid Spin, and he does damage to himself. This is kind of a more bulky variant of Talonflame, it appears to be. And I don't want to just tank a Brave Bird with anything else, so I just let Bruce Chan go down. And at this point, I'm going to bring in Randall. I can live Talonflame no problem, and I can go for a Cotton Guard. That only did 27%. That's insanity. Randall's defenses are so naturally good. It's just so bulky. I go for another Cotton Guard. At this point, there's nothing he can do. I can just Roost. I can go for a Dragon Dance. I can do whatever the heck I want, and he's left there to be in awe of how insanely powerful Randall is. Mega Altaria, definitely one of, I would say, the top 3 or 4 Pokemon in OU. Mega Altaria, Mega Metagross, some others. But Mega Altaria is definitely a threat, and this guy wasn't quite prepared, or at least he didn't play his cards right to be able to survive it. So that's gonna be the end of this session. We are 6-2 now with this team. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you liked it, go ahead and leave a like. If you want to see more of us, then subscribe, join the Fenneking Kingdom, and we'll have more coming your way soon. We'll see you guys next time.